What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be unboxing, setting up, reviewing, and growing some vegetables using this indoor hydroponic growing system that Deenkee sent me. Now this isn't the first indoor hydroponic system that I've unboxed and reviewed on this channel. However, I do think that this unit is just a little bit different than some of the previous units that I've reviewed. So stay tuned and we'll set this thing up and see how well it works. Okay, so like I previously mentioned, this isn't the first professionally built indoor hydroponic system that I've unboxed and reviewed on this channel before, and I don't think it's the last. Now, what I do like about these indoor hydroponic systems is not only are they small in size, but they do allow you to grow your herbs and vegetables, which you might use every day, indoors without having to worry about bugs, watering, temperature, or different things that may affect the growth of your crops. In addition to that, you don't need dirt, you don't need to go outside, you can grow vegetables year-round, all in the comfort of your own home, and you can place this thing right on your kitchen countertop. Anyways, let's go ahead and start by unboxing this to see what it gets. So as you can see, it does come in a pretty nice box. It is not too big and it's definitely not that heavy. It comes with 8 pod kits, 2 smart growth modes, and 24-hour automatic water pump system. And then looking at the setup, it looks like your standard tabletop hydroponic growth system. It looks like from the picture you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potholes, so it's not too overly crowded. Now at a glance, it looks like this thing comes with everything you need except the seeds, but we'll find out what else it all comes with. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, so first off, you do get your user guide for the plant food. So like most of these indoor hydroponic systems, there is an A and B plant food of nutrients. You get your indoor hydroponics growing system user manual. So this just tells you how to set it up, provides planting tips, and just talks about the functionality of the unit itself as well as the accessories that it should come with. And like most packages, this is packaged very nicely. And what I find pretty unique right now is the controller is on the top of the LED lid, which is something new because typically, you know, in the hydroponic systems that I've unboxed previously, the controls are typically on an LCD screen or on the front of the system itself. So it's pretty nice that the buttons are easily accessible and any growing plants can't block the buttons themselves as they start to grow. So this is a pretty unique design, at least from what I've unboxed in the past. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this out. Now I don't know if this is their top of the line unit or if they have other products available, but this is a fairly small unit, so it won't take up too much space on your kitchen countertop. All right, so first things first, the unit itself is made up of some pretty thin plastic, which most of these are, and that's probably just to reduce cost. But I mean, it's pretty durable feeling and it doesn't feel cheap at all. Again, it's got, like most of these units, it's got an extendable LED. So as your plants continue to grow and prosper, you can continue to lift this up so that the LEDs aren't directly on the plants themselves and that you've got some adequate distance for the lighting, as well as coverage. This piece is new, and I think this is where the, there's a gauge here that tells you the water level, which is something that's unique and that I haven't seen on any of these indoor hydroponic systems so far. So I'm glad that this is included because it allows you to tell the water level without needing to lift off the lid, which is super helpful. Okay, so you can remove the lid and there is a little reservoir that, you know, the gauge sits in. This sounds like the A and B food. Yeah, so this is the A and B plant food, so different nutrients for your vegetables and herbs. You get the AC adapter. You get 8 of the net pots and then 8 of these plastic lids. So these are clear lids you put on the top of the tray itself for when you're germinating the seeds. And then this is the pot. These are the pots that you place the sponges in, which it looks like you get 16. So these sponges aren't necessarily one-time use. However, you do have to clean them properly. But it is recommended that you switch them out anytime you're going to start new growth or new plants. So there are 16, which means if you're going to fill up all 8 of these, you have 2 cycles that you can use to plant your seeds. So 2 cycles, and then if you need more of these, I'm sure you can order these on Deenkee's website. Okay, and then this looks like it's the lid or the top of the gauge itself. So again, there's markings on it to tell you what the water level is, so that's pretty nice. You've also got these labels, which, you know, typically you can use these to write what type of plants they are, so you can keep track of what you're growing and what's in what pot. It's recommended to use dry eraser markers, and then when you're done with them, you can erase it easily. These are little poles or guide sticks. So usually these are used for vegetables that might vine or growth, or if you need to control like bending or tilting for plants that are, you know, that grow a certain height, where they start to tilt or need some kind of support. So these are the support sticks, which you just plug right into the top near each of the pot holes. So that's that. And then this is the power cable, or this is the plug directly to the built-in pump. So there is a pump on here with a filter that circulates the water inside the tank. So, you know, most designs for these are pretty much similar. There's just some unique things such as this water gauge for each of the different manufacturers. You're going to want to remove the tape for the pump itself. And I don't think you need to do anything with the filters. Yeah, but those filters you're going to want to clean or replace every once in a while. I typically replace mine when I start to see gunk or algae or, you know, some kind of materials starting to get in there. So I'll try to clean it at first, and if I can't clean it, then, you know, I'll just replace the filter itself. Okay, so now that everything is unboxed, what you see here is the entire hydroponics growing system and all the accessories that come with it. Now the base unit itself is made completely of plastic, as you can see. It's got a 24-watt full spectrum LED set of grow lights, which by default turns on for about 16 hours and then sleeps for about 8 hours to complete a 24-hour cycle. Now I'm not sure if you can adjust that timing, but that cycle typically should work for most vegetables and any plants that you're growing. Now the LED lid itself is height adjustable up to 14.6 inches, which should be enough for most herbs and indoor growing vegetables that you might want to plant. Now overall, this unit itself can accommodate up to 4 liters of water, which should be plenty enough to only have to refill this thing about every 2 weeks. Now right off the bat, there are just some things that I noticed that I like about this hydroponic grow system. The first thing being that the controls are right at the top above the LED lid. This just makes it easier to access the controls so you can change the settings and make any kind of adjustment to the unit itself. I know some of the ones that I reviewed previously, the controls and the LCDs were on the front of the system, which were great and all, but as soon as the plant started overgrowing, it started covering the LCD. So it's nice that these controls are at the top of this grow system. But then also, because this is an entry-level unit, there is no LCD to tell you any of the statistics or things or data on what you're growing and how the system is operating. So I guess that's a give and take kind of thing, but this is again an entry-level grow system. The other thing I like is that it's got this water level meter here that allows you to clearly see how much water is in the system and when you will need to refill. Now again, there are systems that I've reviewed in the past that are a little bit more automated, where this isn't necessary because the system itself will automatically detect the water level and refill it as necessary. But because this is more of a budget system, it is nice that they included this water level gauge so you can tell how much water is in the system, so you can refill it without having to remove the lid, especially when you've already started growing some plants within the system itself. And then the last thing that I noticed, which I found by accident, is that this thing has a magnetically attached grow lid so that you can easily detach the LED lamp and lid itself when you're doing things such as cleaning the tank or transporting it, or you need to make any kind of adjustments, which is something that is unique about this hydroponic grow system that I haven't seen before. It's actually a nice feature to have this detachable and attachable LED lid, because in the past I found during maintenance this thing always got in the way, so it's nice that they thought about that. And these magnets are very strong. You just barely need to bring it next to the hydroponic grow system itself and it automatically snaps in place. So this is definitely a nice feature that I found about this hydroponic system. Now what you'll also notice about this grow system when you first look at it is that it only has space for 8 grow pods on it, which is a lot less compared to some of the other previous hydroponic systems that I've reviewed on this channel. Now what's nice about that is that means there's a lot more spacing between plants, which will allow them to grow more abundantly. So that's something that they actually considered when they designed this whole system, is the spacing of the plants themselves. Because what I noticed on systems with 12 to 24 pod holes in them is that those generally got overgrown, which ended up crowding some of the other plants and vegetables that I was growing and ended up killing them. So this one with only 8 means that the crops that you're growing have more room to grow and more room to propagate. So that just means a lot more abundant vegetables for you to consume. So that just means you can grow a lot more abundant and healthy vegetables and plants with this system. That also means that there is more room in the reservoir underneath for the root systems for these 8 potted plants. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue to set this thing up. So for this, I'm going to remove this and put this aside. And that is just so that we can set up this wiring. Okay, so inside, connected to the pump, is this little power plug. And there is this little crevice where you can feed the cable, so that it's a little bit of cable management, and it should be just long enough so that you can reach the back where the power supply is to plug this pump in. So we are going to eventually fill this with water, but for right now I'm just going to attach this back. And then on the back here you will notice that there is a diagram that tells you where to plug the pump in and also where to plug the power. So I am going to plug the pump into that, and at the top of the lid here there is a space for the wire to come out as well, so it doesn't get in the way of the lid. Okay, and then after that is done, I'm going to plug in the power adapter, which also has a designated plug on the back on the diagram, and you'll hear the system turn on. So now the system is plugged in and powered on, as you can see by the flashing blue light on the power button. Now these are touch capacitive buttons, so all you have to do is touch it in order to turn it on. You'll also notice that there is a vegetable and flower button, and that just changes the type of LEDs that are on for the different types of media that you're growing. So right now it's set to vegetable, I believe. Yep, so it's set to vegetable, and if you want to grow flowers or fruit, then you press the flower and fruit button and it changes the LED configuration. There is also a button to turn on and off the pump, and as you can hear right now, I think the pump is running, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off since there is no water in there right now. Now the other thing I noticed, aside from this thing being made completely of plastic, is because you have this removable LED tray and power button. Now the other thing that I noticed about this removable LED unit is that when you remove this, you're essentially taking all the electric components away from the hydroponic tower itself, which means all the electronics are off and away. So that makes this thing unwashable, which typically makes sense, and there shouldn't be a reason why you need to wash it. But everything that needs to be washed is self-contained in this part of the hydroponic grow system. That means there's no electronics here with the exception of the pump, which is also easily removable, which means you can just wash this or dump this in water and easily just scrub it away without having to worry about any electrical components, because all of them have been separated and removed from the unit itself. So everything on here is actually easily washable and submergible in water without having to worry about the electronic parts. So I think that's also something that's pretty cool about this hydroponic system. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to go take this and fill up the reservoir with water, and then we will be right back. Okay, so I have filled this to about the 3.5 liter mark, and you'll see these little water measurements here on the side. But I didn't fill it all the way up just because I'm in my studio and actually not in the kitchen or outdoors. So when I move this back downstairs later, I don't spill it all over the carpet or anything. So I only filled it up to 3.5 liters. But the pump is now submerged. Okay, and as I put this on, this water gauge should adjust to show you the water level, so we get to see if it's accurate. So as you can see, it is pretty accurate. Right now it's showing me that it's a little bit above 3.5 liters. So as the water evaporates or is absorbed by the plants, this should adjust accordingly based on the water level in the reservoir itself. Okay, so now we want to start prepping the unit to accept the seeds here. And for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be growing cilantro because we use that a lot, basil because we use that a lot as well, and some lettuce because I found that lettuce does grow well in these hydroponic systems, and because we also eat that a lot as well. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to grow the 4 pods of lettuce on one side, and then probably have the 2 cilantro in the center, and then the 2 basil on the other side. So let's go ahead and prep these units. So again, you get 8 of these little pods where the sponges sit, and you're just going to drop those in and secure them. And then you also do get 16 sponges. So if you aren't able to reuse it, that means you do have 2 seasons or 2 rounds of growing medium for seeds. And you can easily buy more of these on Deenkee's website or even on Amazon. So what you're going to want to do before you put these sponges into the pods is you're going to want to put the seeds into the sponges first. Now what I like to do is typically add 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 seeds in each sponge. And that just allows for some level of redundancy, just in case some seeds don't germinate. And then once they start to germinate and grow, if you've got more than 1 plant growing, you're going to want to remove or keep the strongest growing plant and then remove the others. Either replant them or just toss them out. But you don't want too many of them because then it's just going to get overcrowded. Now when it comes to procedure, there have been times where I've soaked these sponges through first before putting the seeds in. And then there are times where I just put the seeds in and then drop them in and let the sponge soak up that way. Either way, in the past, when I've done it either before or after, I've had success. So let me know in the comment section below which way you prefer or which way you think is the correct procedure. Anyways, let's go ahead and start filling these sponges up with the seeds. So we'll start with the cilantro. Let's just see how big these cilantro seeds are. Pretty big, so we won't put too many of them in each of these little pods. We'll just put maybe 2 in each. So we'll put it in the hole themselves and then just drop it in. And we'll put the cilantro in the middle. Okay, so there's a cilantro. Okay, next we'll do the basil. And I believe these are smaller seeds, so we can probably get away with doing 3 of these in each. And they're hard to see too, so, okay, so that's that. Can't actually tell if they went into the little hole. Okay, so that's this basil. And then we will do the lettuce. And these seeds are just store-bought seeds. You can pull your own seeds from your own vegetables that you want to grow, or use whichever store-bought seeds you want to use. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use store-bought seeds, just because I do not have any other seeds with me that I have kept. Okay, this might actually be easier, especially because these lettuce seeds are very fine. Okay, put a couple there. And right now the sponges are floating up a little bit, but eventually they will absorb the water and then just sink back down into the bottom of the grow pots. Ooh, I think I put too many seeds in there, but we can just pull them later when they start growing. Okay, so those are the seeds now fully populated. And then lastly, we are going to put these lids on it so we can keep the moisture in. And this will just help the seeds germinate a little bit better. Okay, looks like you do get some extra lids as well, so that's always a nice thing. Now the sticks as well as the labels you probably don't need to use. Labels I'd probably use, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it how it is. I mean, I know that I've got the lettuce in the 4 on the right, and then the cilantro in the center and the basil on the far left. So not very hard to keep track of, unlike a 24 or 12 pot system. So we'll go ahead now and actually mix the nutrients. So these nutrients, of course, come in a solid form. So as you can hear, they come in a solid form. So each of the nutrient types, whether it's A or B, comes with a different set of nutrient types within each of the bottles. So what you're going to want to do is dilute these, fill them up full with water, shake them up until everything inside the bottles dissolve. And according to the instructions, for every 5 liters of water, you should fill the cap up to the top for both A and B solution, and then add it every 2 weeks. So that should be enough to help these plants grow pretty healthy at least. What's nice about these nutrients is they can be stored for up to 2 years, so that's also nice. But you'll probably use all of this up before that 2-year period ends if you're filling up every 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to go add water to these, and then I'll come back and we'll shake these things up and we'll add the nutrient. So what's also nice is that there's this rubber stopper here that you can remove both to refill water as well as fill nutrient. And then the pump inside will circulate the water and the nutrients so that all the plants are well fed. Okay, so each of these are now filled with water, and you're going to want to shake these up. So when you do shake these up, make sure you put your finger over the caps. Although right now there is a little sticker inside because I haven't unsealed it. But after you've unsealed it, the next time you get these, make sure you shake it up and put your finger over the lid so you don't spill water everywhere. So I'm just going to shake these up so we can dilute all of the material and nutrients in the bottles themselves. And I can still hear some of the B nutrients or A nutrients. So I'm going to shake it up till you can't hear the solid material whipping around anymore. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and remove the little plastic foil cap in this. And I'll probably need a pin to do that. I can use this from my 3D printer. Just remove the little plastic cardboard cover. Put it back on. Same thing for this side. Pop the little cardboard cover out. So these are the cardboard covers that are inside. And then remove this little rubber cap. And we're going to do a cap full, which is all the way up to 15. Now it does recommend for 4 liters, 20 milliliters of each. But because I only did 3.5, I'm going to do about 15 milliliters of each, which is the entirety of this cup. So you'll notice that plant food A has got a little yellow tinge to it, which is pretty nice. And then we'll just pour that into the reservoir itself. And then we'll do the same thing for nutrient B. So we'll fill it to the top. And then we'll also pour that into the reservoir itself. Now once that's done, you'll again want to come back every 2 weeks to both check on your water level as well as refill the nutrients, which should be enough to help these plants thrive and grow pretty healthy. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put this cap back on. Okay, so once that's done, we'll go ahead and take the LED lid and we'll put it back on. So again, it is magnetized, so it should automatically just snap into place and lock. And then plug the system in and then press the power button to turn the system on. Instantly, you'll hear the pump start to circulate, and it'll circulate those nutrients in the water underneath. And again, these lights will stay on for about 16 hours on and then 8 hours off for a 24-hour cycle. So that should be enough to help these plants germinate, or these vegetables germinate. You will want to make sure that it is set on vegetable mode if you're growing vegetables, and then on flower and fruit if you're growing flower and fruit. but since I am on vegetable, it's set to vegetables right now. Now when it comes to the pump itself, you will hear a slight buzzing sound. I think Deenkee said it was about 30 decibel, which is barely noticeable. So you can just tuck this away in a corner of your kitchen or wherever you're planning to store it, and it won't bother you. Anyways, we'll let this thing sit and grow, and I'll probably set up a time lapse so we can see the progress of these vegetables, and then we'll come back and check on them a little later. So see you in a couple seconds your time, maybe a couple days to weeks my time. Okay guys, so it's been about 3 to 4 weeks now since I set up and propagated this grow system from Deenkee with the seeds. And as you can see, it's done pretty well for itself, especially with the lettuce. So as you can see, the lettuce has overproduced and has grown very abundantly. I also have some basil over here that has started to grow. So overall, it's doing pretty well. And right now the water level, it's been about 2 weeks since I did fill this, so I'm gonna have to refill it with water and more nutrients. But as you can see overall, it is growing very well in this system. And the spacing alone just gives the plants enough time or enough space to breathe so that it can sprout and grow very large and abundantly. Now in the middle, I did have some seeds that I originally planted in there, but they weren't growing. So I did end up replacing them. So these are freshly planted seeds in the center 2 pods here. So I don't expect them to grow for a little while, especially because the lettuce right now is just taking up so much space. But over time, I believe it will, just because I'm starting to see some sprouting in them alone. So, you know, they'll populate and grow on their own over the next couple of weeks. But overall, I mean, I gotta say, this thing works pretty well, and it's very impressive of how it works. I like that the neck and the LED lights themselves are adjustable, so as the plants continue to grow, I can raise this up even higher so that the light doesn't burn the plants themselves. But at some point, I'm going to have to cut these lettuce and, you know, eat it and then allow it to just continuously grow. Now that's not to say that this will grow endlessly, I don't think, because once you cut it enough times, you're going to probably want to replant some new seeds in there so you can grow some fresh plants rather than regrowing existing plants that you've cut so many times. But overall, the system itself is self-sustaining, and I hardly even had to pay any attention to it. So with this being on your kitchen counter, you can see how you can just cut vegetables and herbs as you need them and just let it grow on its own. The only intervention that you need to make is probably every 2 weeks when you have to refill the water as well as refill the nutrients, which is very simple and is a task that probably will only take you a couple of minutes to do. At least when I'm filling this, it's very easy. It's just quick, and then leave it alone for another 2 weeks. So overall, I definitely say that this system works very well, and I would highly recommend it if you want an indoor herb garden for yourself that's easy to maintain and easy to manage. Now just to take a look at what the bottom looks like, because I'm kind of interested to see what the root system looks like. But when I lift this up, as you can see, the salad, the lettuce itself has a huge root system, and they're all pristine and clean looking, but they do grow through the sponge systems themselves, and then they just gather water as they need, but it's very clean. No need to worry about any kind of dirt or anything, and you can pretty much just freshly just pick these things off and eat them, and it's super fresh, super sweet, and very flavorful. I gotta say, that salad, just chill a little bit and it's gonna be an amazing salad, but it just tastes amazing. Now I've actually, as I've gone by and refilled the water, on occasion just gone and picked a piece of lettuce off and eaten it, just because I wanted to see what it tastes like, and it actually is very good. So this system, again, I'd recommend for anyone who is interested in having an herb garden or even a garden full of salad that is very low maintenance and doesn't need a lot of attention. And if you're someone who doesn't like to go outside and get dirty or plant herbs in the garden, especially when it's 100+ degrees outside, especially in my case right now where it's that hot outside, that's easy and simple to maintain. Now so far I've only experimented with lettuce and a few sets of herbs, but I'm sure you can grow other things such as tomatoes and other types of vining fruit or vegetables with this system as well. So that's probably something that I'm going to try next, is to see what other types of vegetables and fruits that I can grow with this system. Now what's also good about this hydroponic system from Deenkee versus those other more well-known brands is that it pretty much does the same thing with the same efficiency, with the same amount of yield for a much more affordable price. Right now, if you go to Amazon, you can purchase this thing for about 50 bucks. And if you're interested in purchasing one for yourself, I will leave a link to it in the description section below. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Please make sure on your way out that you click that like button and subscribe. Please also make sure to ring that bell icon to get notified when I post new content. As for myself, I'm going to go enjoy a bug-free, dirt-free salad. So until next time, see ya.